Stanwick Lakes in the heart of Northamptonshire's Nene Valley has been a site of importance dating back to over 5,000 years. Visitors today can enjoy spending time in the nature reserve, relax in the cafe, play in the play areas, hone their skills through workshops and learn through heritage events. But what made this site important to people of the past, and how did they interact with the landscape we still use today? When the site was being prepared for gravel extraction in the 80s, major archaeological excavations were carried out that uncovered the thousands of years of heritage at Stanwick Lakes. Around 3750 BC, during the Neolithic, meaning New Stone Age, the landscape here at Stanwick Lakes would have looked very different to what we see here today. 9 Neolithic and Bronze Age burial mounds were discovered, which were part of a wider ritual landscape of timber circles and cursus monuments. Underneath the surface of some of the lakes here, enjoyed from our visitor centre, a number of burial mounds were found. In one of these barrows, ancient treasures were discovered. The barrow held a beaker pot with the remains of a Bronze Age burial, along with several high-status artefacts, including buttons and beads made from jet, an amber ring, a finely flaked flint dagger, and an archer's stone wrist guard. Using pollen data, insect analysis, and other environmental samples, archaeologists are able to reconstruct a picture of what the landscape here would have been like. In the Bronze Age, Stanwick Lakes would have not been the wetland we see today, but an area prone to flooding. Appropriate sites for burial mounds were chosen on high ground to create a secure ritual landscape above any floodwater that could be seen from the surrounding area. By the end of prehistory, in the Iron Age, there was a prosperous settlement that had been lived in for several generations. Archaeologists found the remains of roundhouses that had been built and replaced through the settlement's life. From the archaeology found at Stanwick Lakes, the Iron Age farm settlement showed no evidence of invasion, so it's likely that life would have simply evolved with the arrival of the Romans.
In 2022, we were very lucky to receive a grant from the Heritage Lottery Fund, which has allowed us to do a 3-year project which is focusing on the lives of the Bronze and Iron Age people who settled here. Our project involved 4 main components, including crafting a Bronze Age logboat, building a new Iron Age settlement, replicating Iron Age clothing, and overseeing the restoration of our Bronze Age barrow. We were lucky enough to get 3 lime trees from Boughton House to make into our Bronze Age boats.
So the trees that we've got here are lime trees taken from the estate, and fortunately the time was really good, and unfortunately we had lost during a storm the tree that this came from. It was great to be able to repurpose it and find a perfect home for it, so we're all really excited about seeing how this develops and how we continue to work together with Stanwick in the future.
Our team of volunteers created and used authentic Bronze Age tools with the guidance of our prehistory specialist, Dr. James Dilley, to experiment with different techniques that our Bronze Age ancestors might have used to build logboats of their own.
To make the logboat, once you felled your tree, you then need to dress the outside to make the shape of the prow and the stern. You then need to cut 2 channels essentially down the sides, and then you split from the back where it will be free, there will be a transom board to close it off, and split your way along progressively to take the material out from the boat. So it'll be a combination of splitting, wedges, and using adzes and axes as well to shape the boat and refine it.
Hi, I'm Lorena, and this is the day 2 of our logboat building. So a lot of what I'm hoping to get from this, and I'm already getting it actually, is just the experience of working with these tools. So these are bronze tools made to the same standards that you would hope for in the Bronze Age. And it's just learning how they work and how you can work with them. So the experience is definitely there already, but I'm hoping to also see the process of how you go in this journey to, from a massive log to an actual boat that is usable. And that brings me a lot of, just that knowledge of how people used to do these things and how they turn out and what difficulties they faced. And that's just part of the immersion in history that I'm really looking for. Obviously you have all the lovely people that you meet along the way, and they have very different approaches to life and skills. So it's lovely also to learn from all sorts of people that you meet along the way.
Working as a team has not only been vital for the logboat build, as not far away, the volunteers working on the roundhouse have been joined by the local community to help with some of the more monotonous tasks, like daubing the roundhouse walls.
Right, the first job for the roundhouse build was going around the site, selecting the timber, bringing it back to site in preparation for the start, as they would have done in prehistory. Then we marked out the circle and plotted the positions where the uprights would go. Post holes were dug and they were then set in place with the earth. We constructed a ring around the top of the outside circle of posts to hold them all together. From there, we built and shaped the roof posts to fit together at the top of the apex of the ring.
During half term, children and adults got their hands muddy and learnt how to build a house the Iron Age way. Over in our Heritage Barn, our Weavers Guild have been studying Iron Age textiles and recreating clothing from the era using traditional methods and natural dyeing.
We know what people were wearing in the Iron Age because we have found the bodies. The acidic peat bogs in Northern Europe have been very good for preserving bodies, and we have found nice costumes preserved beautifully because of the acidity. The colour is gone, but modern chemical analysis helps us to have a pretty good idea of what dyes would have been used and therefore what colours they would have been originally.
One of the really lovely things of volunteering here at Stanwick is that we are able to engage with the gardeners who have already built their medieval garden, and now they're helping us to grow Iron Age plants for our Iron Age project.
So we're growing plants in this area, mainly used for dyeing wool. And we're standing here by a bed full of weld plants, which one of the weavers has already today harvested quite a lot. And she's going to be making up a particularly noxious brew that will dye different wool and yarn a yellow colour.
We're also able to pilfer things from the Bronze Age project, which is happening just next door to the Heritage Barn, and we have stolen some wood bark which we are hoping to process again to work towards our Iron Age project. So it's lovely to have this collaboration with other volunteers and members of the Stanwick Lake projects.
The barrow is a scheduled monument and was in danger of imploding due to the ongoing damage from rabbits. It was also extremely overgrown, and the conservation volunteers worked throughout the summer of 2022 to clear the brambles and the undergrowth away, in readiness for the involvement of our archaeologist Derek Roberts, who was able to offer an archaeological perspective on helping us preserve and maintain this ancient barrow monument.
As with many monuments throughout Britain, we have a problem with infestations of burrowing animals like badgers and rabbits. And in real terms, that means that they're churning up all that separated datable material inside. Our job here was to assess the damage to that, to conduct some more geophysical work around the barrow and protect the barrow. So we turn up with a man and a ferret who chases the rabbits away. Once the rabbits had gone and we made sure they weren't coming back, we then trimmed that grass right the way down to its base and keep that monitored over about a week. And then we took archaeological sterile sands and were able to backfill and pack out the rabbit hole. Once that's done, we took our chicken wire and we coat the whole of the burial mound. And then hopefully, as we're watching now, and as I maintain this and look at it over the next year, we'll see the undergrowth grow through and over about 2 or 3 growing seasons be tightly meshed in, and we won't see it anymore.
Through the work of the Stanwick Lakes Legacy Project, we've built a way to preserve it for the future and highlight its importance as an integral part of the site's heritage. With the roundhouse complete, our barrow restored and the log boats having undergone their lake trials, this is the beginning of a new chapter at Stanwick Lakes.
For me as an archaeologist, it's been an incredible project to be part of. I was lucky enough to be part of a team that excavated the log boats at Muss Farm. It helps me understand the archaeology that I excavate. You can sort of ask the questions that you're thinking about when you're on site. Really working on it didn't feel that much different to excavating it. I remember digging underneath that log boat when we were on site and cleaning off the river silts and feeling the base of the boat, and you could really feel how thick it was. And when we were doing some of the chopping, you you could get a sense of how thick the wood was, and we were obviously working on trying to shave it off, getting them nice and light, getting them to the right thickness. And it really felt like it could have been excavating it or making it. It was a very similar process.
The journey that we've been on as a group of people with Op Phoenix in the mix, we've all bonded in such a way. We've been on a wonderful journey learning new things together, and it's become quite a thing, and we're all kind of quietly devastated by the idea that next week there's nothing to do, there's no boat build to sort of, no, I'm just popping down the boat build, I'll be back for lunch. It would be nice to think that, well, actually now it's leading to something else, and who knows where that'll lead to.
All of the hours and work have not happened behind closed doors. Over the course of the project, we have welcomed and engaged over 5,000 visitors through our events, walks, schools and open days, and the volunteers were able to take part in skills training and volunteer week celebrations.
The roundhouse at our growing settlement will become a hub for school days and craft workshops, whilst the restoration of the barrow has protected the past while creating a wellness space to be shared as a place of significance today.
So the culmination of the textile side of this project at Stanwick Lakes is what I'm wearing today. It's a reconstruction, our interpretation of the Holdremos woman's clothing, and you can see just from the colours and the weave how gorgeous the clothing was in the Iron Age, how well the Iron Age people used all the natural resources and things that they have at their disposal. All plant dyes. These have all been grown at Stanwick in the Stanwick Lakes gardens and things, and we've used them to dye our fabrics with our specialist team of dyers. The spinning was incredibly fine, and we've all had to really up our game to learn to spin quite as fine as the Iron Age women did. And it's very much a collaborative project, not only between the Northants Guild of Spinners, Weavers and Dyers, but with people at Stanwick Lakes as well. So anybody that came into our barn while we were weaving this was basically hijacked and told, "You're going to weave a couple of lines, aren't you?" So there was a very large team of people who basically wove this section here.
Our amazing team of volunteers have dedicated over 13,000 hours of their own time for this project, and without them we really couldn't have done it. Their enthusiasm, passion and commitment have been overwhelming.
My experience with doing this sort of work is so much about the volunteers, and we've found it a lot that they come back week after week after week, all weathers, and it is so inspiring. The passion that goes with it to build these things. This is not an easy task.
Our partnership with Operation Phoenix, Ancient Crafts and Cambridge Archaeology Unit have helped to raise the profile of our nature and heritage site. We've had some amazing press coverage with the BBC and ITV, as well as a 6-page article in Current Archaeology magazine, and we have also featured in European Archaeology Winter Edition.
Over the 3 years of this project, it has grown exponentially beyond any of our wildest dreams, not just because of the physical creations, but how it's involved and inspired the people in these projects. We've created a space where people want to come and learn and experience history through hands-on activities and projects, and everyone involved has become emotionally and wonderfully invested in how this project has developed.
Our project may have ended, but the legacy continues.